Alright, it is 9:26 a.m. on Monday, October the 18th, and this is the main watch list. I'm going to focus on what I think I do best, which is morning panic bounce plays, which is the case with IGEX. Is going to be not really that same setup with ILUS, although in theory, if this one does something super clean, I might consider it. IFXY will be a potential morning panic bounce play. AHFD as well. This one is one I would have to trade with E-Trade, so I threw in a little E there, and it did try to break out of this 60 range yesterday. It looks like it might try to hold the level, or maybe it's going to reject it. It's just going to be something to watch. PUGE is going to be a morning panic bounce play potential as well. However, this one is trying to break. I guess it's pre-market action. Maybe it won't actually be significant. Maybe there's news, but that's going to be a potential morning panic bounce play. And as for the other ones, ETEK broke out of this 70 level, so I just want to watch it. Maybe it can do a continuation. It looks nice on the daily chart right there. GGII, this one's interesting. This is a previous runner, and it's had these little days where it tries to run again, but it doesn't really look that nice the next day. The different thing with this one today is that it has a lot more volume than it did the other few days. And if I have to guess, I'm gonna guess this stock is gonna be, if it doesn't, then at least there was a high chance that this thing is going to try to make a second day. And maybe if it does some kind of setup where it holds green or something like that, I might consider it. Or maybe something in regards to VWAP, if it like puts up higher lows. Just something like that, I might consider it for a second day run. That's totally a possibility. ILUS, I put number 6. I'm not necessarily trying to short this, but because it can also try to break the previous run up high, and that would be pretty impressive. But if it's not able to, if it's starting to choke, I might consider something. But this thing doesn't really trade with that much volatility in the same day, except for I guess the previous day. This was actually kind of nice. So yeah, that's what I have in mind. I'm just gonna focus on morning panic bounce plays for right now. Okay, it is 10:03 a.m. and I did not trade anything, but I do want to go over my thoughts. I was watching AHFD very closely. Not here. I did see this price action right here, but I didn't take consideration because of the fact that I think there were some large sellers on the ask, but most of all, it is a low price sub-penny. I kind of want to stay away, be very cautious with sub-penny stocks, and I also would have had to have traded this on E-Trade. But I was watching this super closely when it started to downtrend because I thought this could be a higher low setup. I was very closely watching this price action here. I just never pulled the trigger. I just didn't like it that much. There was just something off about it, and it did break this 55 was a support level, so was 54, but when it officially broke 54, it kind of did this move here, and between 53 54, maybe in theory I could have been in at 54 at the time. The bid and the ask was 53 by 55, so I don't really know if I would have been executed at 54. There were some prints that went through at 54, and all it took was somebody to just buy a whole bunch of shares, and 3,000, or I guess a 3 million share bidder showed up here on the bid, and it kind of pushed it up to 57. So this was in theory the higher low, but the way it traded it was kind of disgusting, so that's why I never really got any of my money. But I'm happy that it kind of worked out. This side here did fail, but this thing can try to uptrend. 60 is that very important level that it broke out of previously, and it went back under, but it might try to do something like that if maybe the people behind it are trying to keep this one going. IFXY, I was watching this for a morning panic bounce play when it still looked kind of nice, but I hated how it just spiked all the way towards above VWAP right here, I guess. But there was a 6 million share seller, so like this one, but 6 million shares, that's 105 I believe. It never allowed the stock to make a move, so I never looked at it afterwards. And IGEX, this one actually worked out, but This one was also throwing me off because there were like some very large sellers on the ask when it was doing the turnaround here. It also became sub penny. So this one was sub penny. Sub penny IGEX. IFXY never became sub penny, but it had a 6 million share seller. AHFD was also a sub penny, a lower sub penny. So I kind of didn't like it. One of these days I'll have a setup that is around the price level I like more, which is anything above a freaking penny. And yeah, this one did that level 2 reversal. I was watching this here. I thought, yes, in theory this could be like the higher low. It ultimately did become that higher low, but I don't really miss I don't really like regret it, because it was kind of weird the way it did it. But it did get as high as 96. That would have been super hard to sell into. Maybe a sell into 93 would have been kind of easy. And I did see this when it was right at VWAP. I don't know if I would have been able to have been executed at 91, maybe 91.5 or 92. And I was too busy looking at AHFD, but this one kind of did work out. I'm not going to say it didn't. It can also try to be a reversal day too, so that will be interesting. ETEK did something that I saw maybe 2 weeks ago, where it looks like a morning panic bounce play. It has this low and everything, right? And then it just breaks right under it and does a level 2 reversal, after it breaks the day low of the panic. I hate it when it does this, and I would have never have considered this one for a morning panic bounce play, even when it was dropping here and it looked clean, or even here when it was that level 2 reversal after it breaks the panic low. Because of where it is on a daily chart, in theory it was supposed to like break out of 70 and do something nice off of that. So that doesn't really mean I'm going to trade this for a morning panic bounce, because I think the whole breakout over that 70 level was much more important. And to consider that, maybe it has a dip here, spike, and then it has a dip under VWAP, which is closer to VWAP than the previous dip, so it's a higher low. Maybe that would have been the setup to consider, especially because it's trying to hold this 70 level. It did break below it a few times here in the bottom, but that was a support level, a risk level to take. And now it's at 74, which is also resistance from here, so it can try to do something. Maybe in theory I could have tried to play something around there, but I was too busy looking at AHFD. We do have a big better too. That's pretty interesting. ILUS, nothing. No interest in trading it. GGII did downtrend. It went under. Now it's above. I'm just going to let it do its thing. I'm not necessarily interested. I don't like this price action. PUGE is uptrending. It looks like it's trying to break a nice level actually. At 145, I guess. I guess it's slightly above it now at 145 by 147. And it did fail before. This could be something interesting. I'll look at this for right now. Alright, it is 10:18. I want to make an update. I never bought this. I just didn't like how it looked like it was making a sketchy symmetrical looking triangle, and then I took another look at it and it looked like it was trying to make like a trend line. So I saw that it was rejecting that trend line, and I didn't expect it to just do something like this, but yeah, it broke the trend line and then it had this big sell-off. If I was risky, I would have taken a buy at 139 while it was downtrending with all this volume, because there was a big level of support at the bid, and it did turn around briefly to 143, but that's kind of scalpy, honestly. I'll continue to watch this. This thing can continue to try to put up lower highs or whatever. At this point it's like a double bottom from here, not necessarily a double bottom. It did wick a little below it, but that was with a lot of volume. I guess this part was a wick as well. It's not looking too nice right now, and it was the one I was actually considering a while back for some kind of breakout level, trading this, but I just never liked the way it looked. Maybe I would have considered it Friday, because it looks like an inverse head and shoulders, but not necessarily a nice one. Shoulder head, and then here's a shoulder, but I don't like how it's putting up lower highs consistently. That would have been kind of hard, but it did hold this level right here at 11.6 super nicely, so I don't mind if I don't trade anything today, if I don't make or lose anything. If there's no setups, in theory no setups. IGEX worked out super nicely, but I just don't like how there was a lot of people on the ask selling, and I didn't like how it was a sub penny stock. So that's totally fine. That's really all I have at the moment. I guess ETEK did do like a higher low setup here, but again, I would have considered this one because I was looking at this more in terms of a breakout. But if you're thinking in terms of a breakout, again, it could be what I said earlier about it holding, not perfectly, but holding the 70 cent, not 70 cent, the sub penny 70 level. AHFD is trying to do an uptrend, but the volume is dried up. I'm not necessarily interested in this one anymore. Nothing there. GGII, I didn't see this breakout. I don't know if I would have just taken it because I honestly don't really like the stock that much. And this new one, VTZI, maybe if it tries to do some kind of a higher low setup after it drops a bunch, I might consider it. But at this point, I don't see anything that I really want to trade right now. Alright, it is 10:32 and I want to make an update. I have a partial fail, at least right now, with AHFD, and it's doing the thing I've seen before when it has that drop and then it puts up a higher low, and the volume was looking kind of bad, but then I noticed that this thing has the red, the green move right here at 56. There was a nice bidder. I didn't get the best entry at 58, but now it's at 60. Some executions are going on at 60 ideally. I'm in the setup with a full position. If not, it'll be a commission loss so far, and it holds green on the day. That would be my risk level in theory if it breaks under 56. Ideally, I want to have to cut it there. Maybe I'll cut it right at 56, but right now I'm here with a partial position, which obviously isn't in my favor, and I'll keep watching this. Alright, it is 10:45. And yeah, I closed the trade. I canceled it. I closed it. This thing was never going to fail, at least when I was interested in it. The rest of the shares I had, what is this? A $200 position, give or take. Let's just see what it was when I was at 58. I'm going to guess it was 58 and not 58.5. Yeah, that makes it I traded a $200 position on E-Trade with commissions. E-Trade has commissions. That's a thing. Unfortunately, at least I was able to participate, I guess. I was in right here, 10:30. Not necessarily the best price. I would have been much happier at 57, risking 56 breaking, because 56 was that, like red to green level. So if I'm in at 57 and it breaks 56, we start seeing 55, maybe I'll get out. It's no longer putting up higher lows. Maybe it'll do a double bottom at this range in theory, and I would have cut the trade right then and there, and I would have been happy. But it did look like I wasn't gonna get the opportunity to get in at 57 because there was a big, like, 5 million share bidder at 57. And then that pushed it up. It got to 60. Right, I'm just washing it through all of this, wondering if I'm going to get any more shares. There were 2 attempts here, these 2 minutes, 1 minute here, 1 minute here, where I could have, in theory, have been executed at 58. I could have had more shares because I was sitting at the bid, but I did not get my shares filled, unfortunately. Worst case scenario would have been that it drops to 58, I get my full size, and then it drops to 57 and 56 breaks, and then I'm like, shit, I just got my full size just to take an L. But that didn't happen. That would have been worst case scenario. Right now this thing can't continue the uptrend. This is going to be the next level of resistance, 62, and it can totally try to break it. There is people bidding it up, so maybe I didn't have to do my my throat, but maybe I didn't have to sell there. And 10:43 is when I officially sold this candle. I sold at 615, so that was right between 61 and 62. Right here was my sell. And let's see if I can go ahead and remember, if I can switch to the second screen. Yep, this is it. As you can see right here, I lost $1.24 because E-Trade likes to charge commissions. That really sucks. That sucks, because if I would have been in my full position at 58, dude, this would have been super nice. This would have been maybe, let's just see in theory how much it would have been. Let's not speculate. If I was in at 58 with my ideal 300,000 shares, right? I think that's 300,000. Yep, and then I sell at 615. So we're looking at a $1,700 position, 1740. I guess that would have been like $100. All right, that would have been $100 selling at 615, with plenty of potential that this thing can break 62. But I'm a little chicken. I like selling when it's at its highs. I don't necessarily want to be that guy who's like, oh, it's at its highs, all right, let's go for a higher low, and then it like makes a lower low, and then you're like, crap, you know, I could have sold at the highs. I'll always try to consider selling some at the highs. This is nice. We have 63 on the ask, 62 was at the bid, but we're having green prints at 62, so the level 2 isn't very accurate. I wonder if I would have been profitable if I sold at 62. Let's see. Yeah, probably I would have actually have made just just a little bit. But yeah, E-Trade charges commissions. I was looking at this. This one wow, this one actually really worked out nicely. This is super sketchy. I would have been interested in it. I think I still have it. Yeah. At 274. Now that would have been just a random order between the bid and the ask. I can't tell you for sure if I would have been executed there, but this one did turn around. That's pretty cool. Sketchy, low volume. I guess I should have taken this one, but you know, in theory this one did work. I just didn't get my full size, so I can't be upset. I'm very happy that I just lost a very tiny amount. I'll make an update later, but yeah, that was pretty cool. Alright, it is 10:51. I just want to make a quick update. Actually, it turns out this thing is not even tradable on Schwab. I would have had to have traded this on the E-Trade. I just tried placing an order to see what it would have done in theory. You know, one share at 201, which will obviously not execute. I just want to see if that was a possibility. No, you cannot trade this on Schwab. So for me to have traded this one, that would have been hella sketchy. Like on the E-Trade, I would have had to have traded maybe at least 500 shares, right? $1,000 position. You know, kind of doing like that number 5, although a kind of retarded looking number 5 setup, a reversal. You know, big significant red day. And I also like how it kind of had like a drop here at 277, and then it just drops just a little lower at 258, and it kind of held itself together there. And that would have been, dang, I don't know if I would have traded that amount of size with E-Trade because of that. I would have been happy with just 100 shares, you know, and that would have been super profitable too, with a lot less risk, at least mental capital, just by not having to hold something that I'm not too comfortable with, just because I have to make up for commissions. ETEK, I want to go over the other ones. Nothing really here. I mean, yeah, I mean, it had a drop here, and then maybe this is going to be, no, but then we have like a double. It's not really ideal. This can do something nice because it is trying to hold that 70 breakout level, but I don't necessarily want to trade it. IGEX is just trading in the range. It can try maybe later today and end up being a reversal day. That will be kind of cool. It is floating above VWAP, so it could do something there, but you know, I'm not extremely sure. ILUS, again, no interest in this, especially because of how cursed the chart looks. Yeah, it's not really something I'm interested in. You know, that's a nice squeeze though, right there in the beginning. PUGE, this one after it rejected this, I haven't really looked at it. It looks like it broke under it again. This is like common with listed stocks, just a freaking red candle rejects the whole thing. Good luck cutting losses quickly on that, but it is trying to regain itself, but I'm not necessarily interested in it. It can maybe have like a drop here under VWAP, and then I guess here it just got to VWAP, and then it breaks above it and then makes another drop, but it's higher, so a higher low. Maybe I'll consider that, but that's not necessarily something I want to do. It did get to 63 briefly, 63, the actual 63 price. This is probably 62.5, 63. Now it's 61 by 63, and my sell was at 61.5. If I would have sold at 62, I would have been maybe up like $1.24. So, I mean, what can I say? It was a partial fill. That sucks, but You know, I would have had to have traded OBMP anyway with E-Trade, and that kind of would have been sketchy. GGI, yeah, GG. I don't like this stock. It did break out this range, but I mean, it could be a chase at this point. I'm not too interested in it, and I stopped looking at this one. Maybe this was a first dip under VWAP setup with BTZI. I think this one is tradable on Schwab. I'm not extremely sure, but that pattern's already done. Maybe if it puts up higher lows from here, I might consider it, but probably not, because we're going to be heading into midday at this point. I might make an update later. I don't mind my little trade there with AHFD. That was, in theory, a really nice trade if I had full size, but I think it was a good attempt in it. And the worst case scenario didn't happen, so I'm pretty happy for that too. Alright, it is 5:23 p.m. and I am here to call it off. I was super close to having a 3-figure day, and I think that is probably the best part. Unfortunately, stuff like this is going to happen where I just don't get my entire thing executed. After that last video, I had to cash out with a bunch of orders, so I was still looking at the markets, but I wasn't really necessarily trying to trade anything. And yeah, this was a trade with AHFD, and the last time, I think it was when it was getting to 63 right at the top. I was kind of worried that, you know, if I'm in this setup right and I don't sell at the top, maybe it'll downtrend, and maybe it'll be worst case scenario and I get my shares filled at 58, and then it goes to 57, it breaks, it goes red on the day, and that would be super bad. But this is something that AHFD has done, as well as some of the other OTCs, multiple times, where it has a big drop under VWAP and then a higher low, and you consider it, and then it gets to the point where it actually holds VWAP. It doesn't have to do it. Here it kind of, no, yeah, this one kind of struggled a little here, but you know, it did downtrend ultimately by the end of the day. But yeah, that was a pretty nice setup. Right here, yeah, right about here was my entry, right? Or was it, I guess, 10:30. Oh, okay, so this section, this little tick right here, let me get rid of extended hours actually. Yeah, 10:30 was right about here. Right here, actually. This is it. I wasn't able to get executed. I should have been probably quicker to jump in a setup like this, considering that you know, it was going to play off of this red to green mark. The issue again was that a large 5 million share bidder showed up and kind of pushed the price up, but that was the move there. And my sell again was at 1043, which was right here at 615. So I guess right about here, you know, near the top. Again, it did get to 63, and perhaps maybe even at this point, had I have kept my order open, I would have gotten the rest filled at 58. That might have been a possibility, but at that point it's just playing with fire. You know, it did downtrend eventually, and even if it did, you know, become that case and I got the entire thing filled in this dip, this range right here, it did put up a lower high. That would have been like a signal to really sell. So yeah, I would have had a nice 3-figure day. I think after commissions maybe like 90 bucks, but that was super nice. Now the one thing I do regret is that I never looked at this one, ALYI. It was uptrending the other day. It's kind of like GGII, very similar. Just totally did not look at this one, and I think at one point, you know, if I was looking at it, I probably would have saw that breakout, and then I wouldn't have considered it anymore, because, you know, I'd be worried about chasing. And this one did consistently put up higher lows. This could have been another entry point right here. This was a lower high, but then when I actually broke it, and I guess maybe when it came back, I don't know, that would have felt like a chase perhaps. I can't really guess what I would have considered doing, but I wish I did look at this one. That's the one thing I felt like I could have done better, on top of maybe just being quicker with AHFD. But BTZI did do the turnaround eventually, but this took a long time. I would have probably have had a break-even trade there had I have traded it. PUGE kind of downtrended towards the end of the day, but it is trying to hold that breakout level, give or take. Not really the best. I don't like GGII. I just don't like it. This one did do a nice uptrend. But I like, again, AHFD for example, because it plays off of VWAP, and this one, it's not really that case, and I just don't like the stock in general. It did get as high as 16 and then it sold off. I might still try to run a few more days, but I'll be very cautious with this one. I just don't like it. Even when it had its first run up, I never liked it. So that's the thing there. And then ILUS, nothing, no interest. ETEK, this one did play off of VWAP too. You know, and this one also was nice because it did play off that 70 level. Maybe I could have pushed myself to trade that, but that's fine. Nothing really here with IGEX, although it did play nicely here, and it did do that drop towards VWAP. You know, after it did like the higher low here. I don't mind this one that much. There were some large sellers on the ask. It was a Monday, but I probably could have maybe pushed myself as well. But again, I didn't want to do anything too dumb. I'm very happy just looking at how that one traded. And then I was interested in it here. I'm happy it did turn around. I never got into this one. I was looking at AHFD instead, and by the time, you know, I was in at 10:30 with AHFD, this thing was already trying to make the move. I didn't want to be in two setups at the same time. That's all I got. Unfortunately, down $1.24, but I think I learned a lot. And I was pretty close. Had I had my full size, that would have been super nice, but that wasn't the case, and I think that's totally fine.